Welcome to Real Talk with the Combat Coffee Bean, your coffee with a mission. I'm Dave, a Marine veteran, founder of the Combat Coffee Bean, and your host. For me, coffee is more than just a morning ritual. It's a way to bring people together, share stories, and support one another through life's ups and downs. Some of the topics we're going to be covering here are going to be veteran issues, small business issues, and of course, all things coffee. Hey everybody, this is Dave from the Combat Coffee Bean. I wanted to read you a little something with higher prices coming. This is something that I pulled from Barron's, one of the leading sources in financial news. They're saying U.S. retail prices for roasted and ground coffee are surging 14.5% year over year in July, hitting an average price of $8.41 a pound. And that's before newly imposed tariffs going up to 50% on Brazilian coffee, plus more on other exporters. Analysts warn these tariffs are effectively attacks on 99% of the U.S. coffee imports, compounding supply changes driven by climate and trade. Representative Ro Khanna is pushing to repeal them. This is what Barron's is saying. Another report notes that coffee prices have spiked 30% year over year. Keurig Dr. Pepper, pending acquisition of JDE Peet's, which, that will be a topic for another day, might eventually help stabilize pricings, but not immediately. So what I'm seeing in the industry right now is prices are going up. Smaller drop shippers, small coffee shops, these are the people that are going to be hit the hardest by these prices. They're doing everything that they can do to keep these prices lower by offering like free shipping, taking smaller percentages of profit if they're making a profit at all. So these are things that when you go and you buy your coffee, and you're buying at the grocery stores, and it says $6.50 for a pound of coffee, and then the next time you go and it says $12.50 for a pound of coffee, just be aware that these coffee growers, they're not happy about it either. With these coffee growers not being happy, they're going to be thinking about maybe cutting back on their growing fields. They're going to be looking at trying to find other sources of income if they can't sell their coffee to the U.S. Right now, they're currently looking at China and Europe and other places in Asia to sell their coffee because these tariffs are hitting them very hard, just like it is here in the U.S. The tariffs are a good thing in the aspects that it's bringing in more income for this country and it's balancing the trade. But at the same time, it's hurting the small business people who go day to day and do everything they can do because they have personal relationships with their customers. Now, if you think about that with you and your friends, you don't want your friends to be hurt by something going on in their life. Same thing goes with the coffee companies and their customers. Here at the Combat Coffee Bean, we look at our customers as they're our friends. They are our loyal friends that stay with us. So we do everything we can do to keep our costs down. These new pricings on our coffees that are being given to us for us to sell on our site or at our farmers markets or at our pop-up stores, they have literally gone up anywhere from 53 cents a pound all the way up to $1.40 a pound. Doesn't sound like much until you add in the pricing, the shipping, the bags, the cost of everything in total. That is a big hit on the coffee companies. So I'm going to go on and I'm going to read some other stuff to you that Barron's has written about what's going on with these coffee prices. This is their title. UF tariffs behind surge on global Arabica pricing, Brazil exporter group says. In São Paulo on August 22nd, Reuters was reporting The global Arabica coffee market has surged in August, with prices gaining more than 30% on the ICE exchange. Now that's kind of where they do the big exchanges for the coffee. Driven mainly by steep tariff hikes from the United States, the head of the Brazilian Coffee Exporter Council, I can't pronounce that name, Crete Cafe, said on Friday, 50% of tariffs imported on Brazilian coffees by the Trump administration since August 6th has made exports to the U.S. unavailable and a disruptive market. However, Brazilian coffee is currently seeing a substantial increase in Europe and Asia's demand, which is well above expectations. So now if you think about that, again, Europe, Asia, they're buying the coffee that would normally come to the U.S. So that is creating an artificial shortage here in America, causing prices to rise. When there's more product going elsewhere and not here, that creates a coffee shortage. And that's why you're seeing more and more and more people, raising their prices on their coffee. I don't want to see that. You don't want to see that. I try not to bring politics into this. But if you can reach out to your congressman and your senator and say, hey, enough is enough, let's get a carve out for the coffee like you do for the steel industry, the airplane industry, all of these other industries, we can get a carve out for coffee. So I'm going to ask you to reach out to your congressman, reach out to your senator, and even if you want to, write the White House and say, hey, this is ridiculous on the coffee. You're killing the industry with these tariffs. So that being said, that's kind of my rant for today. And like I said, I do try to keep politics out of this. And I'm all in support of tariffs, but at the same time, we have to be realistic about these things. These tariffs on these coffee imports are going to force these farmers in other countries to sell their land or to plow it under and grow a different crop because it's not profitable for them. We take and pay all of our growers a fair and livable wage so that they keep growing their coffee. We want them to grow their coffee. But when you add in the tariffs on top of the cost, it's making coffee go to new heights. So I'm going to ask everybody, and I normally don't do this, reach out to your congressman, reach out to your senators, and voice your opinion on what's going on in the coffee industry. Because until you stand up, or the people in America stand up and reach out to their representatives, this isn't going to change. Now, I know these tariffs are supposed to be temporary. Hopefully, they are. So let's see what we can do. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm off my soapbox. So I want to thank each and every one of you for listening to the Real Talk with the Combat Coffee Bean. If you had a good time, hit like and subscribe so that you never miss out on another round of real conversations and great coffee. I wanted to thank you for your time, and Semper Fi.